Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So let's continue. Today we'll be going over business organizational structures and choices. Remember, this is not an ICAN tutorial. This is the ICAN business environment study test reading. So you would like to plug in your earphones, concentrate and listen to this while on the go. So organizational structures. An organizational structure is the way that a company, organization, or team is set up. It can be hierarchical with different levels of management, or it can be divisional with different product lines and divisions. Sometimes there is little to no hierarchy at all. Every company and team has an organizational structure, which it is not formally defined. An organizational structure defines how job titles, roles, and responsibilities are assigned within a company. It helps to determine who reports to whom and who makes decisions. Organizational structures are important because they help businesses implement efficient decision-making process by assigning specialized roles to lower level employees. Businesses can make better decisions faster. Let's go over the organizational structure. We have the first one is the centralized organizational structure. A centralized organizational structure puts management and decision making at the top. It focuses on coordinating financial, human, and other resources. A senior leader handles strategic planning, goal setting, budgeting, and talent acquisition. Centralized management suits companies focused on manufacturing and cutting costs. It promotes department teamwork, streamlines practices, and coordinates with outside partners. This traditional structure is common in older and smaller businesses. A centralized organizational structure is an organizational structure in which decision making is concentrated at the top level. Upper level managers retain decision making authority and slightly delegates. Upper level managers retain decision making authority and slightly delegate it to lower levels. The degree of centralization depends on several factors, such as organizational size, management style, and the quality of managers at each level. So what are the determinants of centralized organizational structure? There are various factors to consider, including 1. Costs. Centralization saves costs. For example, it supports higher economies of scales. For example, when departmental managers have the authority to procure office equipment, they may not be able to enjoy discounts facilities. However, if done centrally, the company can buy on a large scale from suppliers. As a result, suppliers are more likely to offer discounts to the company. Finally, procurement costs become lower than when carried out independently by each department, and companies benefit from purchasing economies of scale. 2. Organization size. In some cases, large companies tend to delegate decision to lower level management. It is almost impossible for a few people to take all the decision because the operation is more complex. Take, for example, multinational companies. Top-level management at headquarters delegate decision and grant autonomy to strategic business unit management. The same case applies to other companies such as retail chains. Management style. Centralized structures are common under authoritarian leadership. The leader dominates decision and leaves no room for subordinates to participate. Moreover, authoritarian leaders demand absolute adherence to what they decide. Quality managers at every level. Centralization can be suitable choice when managers at each level have varying qualities. For example, low-level managers are trained to make decisions. In contrast, low-level managers do not have such qualities. Geographical spread. A centralized organizational structure is an option when a company operates a location. Conversely, they will rely on decentralization if they operate in many different geographic areas. Business environment. In centralized structure, if decisions have to be made by top-level managers, it can take a long time and it can become even more acute when a problem occurs because a decision does not come right away. So the determinant of centralized organizational structure includes costs, organization size, management style, quality managers at every level, geographical spread, and business environment. So what are the advantages of centralized organizational structure? The advantages is that it has consistent decisions are taken by top level managers and subordinates just have to carry them out. Thus, it will be consistent at all levels. Easy to make decision. Top level managers make decision at their discretion. They do not need to consult. A clear chain of command. Who has decision making authority is clearly defined, so everyone knows who has the right to make decision. Maintain quality. Top level managers rely on a control system through procedures, standards, and rules to ensure subordinate compliance. Working in a factory is an example. Product specification and production techniques are regulated at the top management level. There is no opportunity for supervisors to make decisions independently. Imagine if they could make decisions independently. The output may not meet specification, and what is worse, the production process can be disrupted because there is no coordination between them. Unity towards goal. Centralized decision allow everyone to move in the same direction. Once a decision has been made, lower level managers act on it without any opportunity for them to make other decisions. There is order in the business. Top level managers ask employees to comply with every decision made. Saving money. Centralization minimizes problems due to inconsistent decision and duplicate rules. Good business image. The company can maintain a consistent business image in the eyes of the public by being concentrated. The message to the public is more coordinated. It becomes critical when the company faces a crisis and has to confront the public. So what are the disadvantages? Disadvantage includes message distortion. Messages may be distorted as they go through the managerial layers. For example, middle managers may be reluctant to fully communicate problems at lower levels to their supervisor. They may think it will hurt their careers because they are considered incompetent to handle subordinates. Finally, they are more likely to distort messages and hide harmful information. Good decisions, bad implementation. Without a good control system, good decisions are poorly implemented, and top-level managers cannot monitor how the decisions are implemented at lower levels because they spend more time dealing with decision. Demotivating. Without delegation, subordinates do not have the space to participate in making decisions related to their work. They feel that their superior are empowering them, so they are discouraged. High turnover. Demotivation drives subordinates to leave the company, so there will be high turnover. Low creativity, bet for success, rigid work culture, undeveloped competencies, business interruption, heavy workload. Now over to decentralized organizational structure. The first one is centralized. This one is decentralized. So decentralized organizational structure is where decision-making authority is spread across various levels and divisions. Where decision-making authority is spread across various levels and divisions, increasing employee autonomy and responsiveness. This is different from traditional organizational structures, where the chain of command follows a top-down approach. In recent years, many organizations have started to embrace decentralization to overcome the limitations of the traditional model. A decentralized organizational structure is one where senior management has delegated the authority for making certain decisions to lower level organizations. Companies operating decentralized structures often have mid and lower level managers making most of the decisions rather than the senior management team. Now, a decentralized organizational structure works particularly well in the following scenarios. 1. Where a company needs to deliver highly individualized customer service. When a business has a vast network and cannot be controlled by upper management alone. When the nature of the market means that decision must be made quickly, and when the business model is constantly changing. Now, let's understand centralization and decentralization. 1. In a centralized organizational structure, the decision-making authority comes from the top level of management. This means that senior leaders make the important decision and information flows from the top down. This type of structure is suitable for organizations needing tight control and consistency, such as large corporations or government agencies. On the other hand, a decentralized organizational structure encourages decision-making authority throughout all levels of organization, giving employees more autonomy to make decisions relevant to their roles. It is usually used by companies that need to be flexible and able to respond quickly to changing trends, like tech startup, creative agencies, and businesses in fast-paced industries. So back to decentralized organizational structure. What are the characteristics of decentralized organizational structure? 1. Distribution of authority and decision making. Instead of waiting for approvals from the top, managers and employees at different levels have the power to make decisions based on their roles. These speed up decision making and processes as those who are closest to the issues and have the most relevant information make the call. Then empowerment of low-level employees. A decentralized organizational structure empowers employees at low levels by giving them the authority to make decisions, so employees feel more valued and motivated. Flexibility and adaptability. Decentralized organizations are flexible and able to adapt quickly to changes. because the decision making is spread out. Communication channels and information flow. In a decentralized structure, the flow of information is more open and multi-direction. So information is transmitted not just from top down but also from bottom up. This creates a more collaborative environment where ideas and feedback are freely shared, which can lead to better problem solving. Advantages of decentralized organizational structure. Top management can focus on long term. A decentralized organizational structure alleviates the burden of day-to-day tasks and gives top managers and executives more time to focus on the long-term goals of the organization. Decisions are made quickly. Employees feel more empowered. Identify employees for development. Then what are the disadvantages? Although the decentralized organizational structure has many benefits, there are some distinct disadvantages to be aware of. One is potential for less knowledge sharing. The delegation of decision making can lead to divisions. Departments and individual team can lead to divisions, departments and individual teams operating in silos. This is bad for knowledge sharing because siloed teams are more likely to keep information such as project updates, decision-making processes and procedures to themselves. Teams putting themselves first. When low-level managers and employees are given the power to make their own decision, there is a good chance that over time, teams will begin putting themselves first and bashing decision on what's best benefits rather than the organization and its mission as a whole. Difficulties in communication and collaboration. When teams and individuals are independent and are responsible for their own decision, workloads and schedules, communication can become more difficult. Each manager might have his or her own preferences, and this can lead to confusion. Collaboration may also suffer because with so many different managers, processes and schedules, it can be difficult for two different levels to coordinate efforts together. Then the next structure is the matrix and mixed organizational structure. We talked about the centralized structure, then the decentralized structure. This next one is the matrix and mixed organizational structure. So a matrix organizational structure is a structure in which there is more than one line of reporting effectively. It means that each employee of the organization has more than one boss. The matrix organizational structure is complex but helps in achieving the ultimate goal, that is reaching higher productivity. Employees work with colleagues of different departments who have expertise in different functions. When different people from diverse departments work together, it helps solve problems in more efficient way. It does lead to overall development of employees, as each one is exposed to different functions apart from his or her core job. So what are the advantages of this matrix organizational structure? There is enhanced flexibility and adaptability. Cross-functional teams quickly respond to changes in market conditions and evolving project requirements. Improved resource utilization, cross-functional collaboration, specialized expertise utilization. Faster decision making, employee development opportunities, global and local integration. Then what are the disadvantages of matrix organizational structures? We talk about communication challenges. Effective communication becomes challenging as employees report to multiple managers. Then conflicting information. Diverse instructions from functional and project managers can cause confusion and hinder productivity. Role ambiguity. Employee performance is impacted if they are unclear about their roles and responsibilities. They may feel overwhelmed when conflicting tasks and expectations from different managers. Decision-making complexities. With multiple managers involved, reaching a consensus may be challenging, leading to delays in important decisions. It can cause frustration among employees and affect their morale. Dissatisfaction and burnout. Employees struggle to prioritize tasks and find it difficult to manage their time effectively. It results in lower productivity level and increased stress. Power conflicts. Each manager has his or her own objective and goals, which can lead to conflicts in a competitive environment. The next organizational structure is the networks. Business can thrive using many types of organizational structure, but when a company has many divisional components in different geographic locations, a network organizational structure offers several unique benefits. A network organizational structure is one in which organizations group certain types of employees together based around a common specialization. These employees then form partnerships with other specialists throughout the organization to take on new projects and work towards common goal. For instance, a company may have a product development team and marketing team, each operating as different divisions. However, when new projects arise, members of those teams can pair up to tackle projects together. So how a network organizational structure works. A fairly non-hierarchical structure, an affinity for outsourcing, concentration on specialization, empowered project managers, lean central leadership, overlap with divisional organizational structure. What are the advantages of network organizational structure? We have natural communication. Workers have opportunities to interface with team members from different divisions. This sparks natural dialogue and a sense of common purpose. Openness to organizational change. Employees are less likely to feel emotional tied to hierarchies and specific workflows. Versatility and adaptability. Team members can flow freely from one project to another without having to worry about the limitations of a hierarchy. So what are the disadvantages? There is a potential for redundancy. Networked organization can end up with multiple teams doing similar work. This leads to inefficiency that occurs in hierarchical structure. There is relatively weak leadership. There is unbalanced workloads. Then another structure is the virtual arrangement. So a virtual organizational structure is a modern, flexible business model that leverages information and communication technologies to support operations despite geographical barriers. Employee can work remotely while the organization can manage and coordinate work seamlessly. A virtual network structure is also known as network structure, brings together various interdependent entities towards a common goal. It relies heavily on outsourcing, partnership, and contractual agreements. The structure is ideal for businesses that require specialized skills or resources from different regions. It promotes efficiency and reduces costs. However, it can be challenging to manage due to varying service terms and policies of different entities involved. So it's the advantages are it's reduced operating costs. By outsourcing tasks to external entities, organization can make significant savings. Global access to expertise and resources. This structure opens up opportunity to collaborate with experts and resources from around the globe. Flexibility. The work network provides ample room to adapt and restructure based on changing project requirements or market dynamics. For example, a software development firm, the central hub could be located in US, while software development outsourced to India, website creation to Nigeria, and customer service to Kenya. Here, each branch is part of the virtual network, contributing different services. So, how a virtual team organizational structure works. 1. Communication. In a virtual team, employees may be located across various time zones and geographical regions. Therefore, a clear and effective communication is critical. Coordination. In a virtual team or organizational structure, maintaining a system that synchronizes tasks and schedules is also essential. This is achieved through high-quality project management tools, ensuring every team member is informed of his or her responsibilities, deadlines, and the broader project timelines. Balance. This involves balancing various elements like work time, personal time, and time for collaborative tasks within a team. Trust. Trust is a fundamental factor in virtual team. Since face-to-face interactions are minimal, fostering a safe environment built on reliability, integrity, and mutual respect is vital. So what are the advantages of virtual structure? Cost saving, enhanced flexibility, access to global talents, improved employee satisfaction, carrying out environmental responsibility. Then the disadvantages includes communication barriers, decreased team cohesion since they work remotely, difficult in monitoring performance, dependence on technology. A virtual organization relies heavily on technology for communication, coordination, and execution of tasks. There is security concerns. With employees accessing sensitive data remotely, companies may face increased security risk. So they need strong IT policies, employee cybersecurity training, and use of security technology. So this is where we'll end for today's reading. The next is factors influencing management. That will be in the next reading. So make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe. Thank you for tuning in.